Welcome to our vlog, featuring Murphy, a young golden retriever with a big heart and even bigger medical history. Today we're taking you through his journey from playful pup to brave surgery patient. Pre-op, it was all fun and games with Nurse Brittany. Getting ready for surgery involves several steps. First, Murphy is sedated to prepare for his anaesthetic. Next, blood is drawn and he is placed on oxygen before he receives his anaesthetic induction. There are two components to Murphy's medical condition. The first are these painful mouth ulcers that have been refractory to treatment. Everything we've tried so far has not healed them. The first step in investigating these mouth ulcers is to perform dental radiographs to ensure there are no diseased teeth below the gum lines. Fortunately for Murphy, there was no evidence of disease below the gum lines, as you can see on these radiographs. The next step was to perform a complete oral health exam, where I'm checking for any pockets below the gum line. Again, this was clear. And lastly, we elected to perform an upper gastrointestinal endoscopy to ensure that the ulcers were limited to the oral cavity. We were concerned they may have also been present in his esophagus and his stomach. Fortunately, the endoscopy revealed his esophagus and his stomach were normal. Keep watching and you'll be able to see Murphy's heart beating through his esophagus on the endoscope. Very cool. Now you might be thinking, we know what the ulcers aren't, but how are we going to know what they are? Well, the next step was that we performed an incisional biopsy of these ulcers in his mouth. Stay tuned and we'll discuss the results later on. You might be thinking that mouth ulcers isn't a particularly complicated case. Well, unfortunately for Murphy, he also had a history of chronic diarrhea with a duration of nearly 12 months, and sadly for him, it was non-responsive to most treatments. Given that all of his test results so far had been normal, the next step for Murphy was intestinal biopsies. Nurse Brittany clips the area and cleans the skin in preparation for surgery to reduce the risk of contamination to the surgical wound. Dr. Belinda places a urinary catheter to ensure that Murphy doesn't have any toileting accidents whilst he's asleep under the anaesthetic. Now that Murphy is ready for surgery, it's time for Dr. Belinda to perform a surgical scrub in preparation for placing on her gown and gloves. Now that Nurse Brittany and Dr. Belinda are ready for surgery, it's time to cover Murphy in surgical drapes to ensure that only the surgical site is visible. We are now ready to make the incision, which marks the start of Murphy's intestinal biopsies. Dr. Belinda performs the surgery while Nurse Brittany monitors Murphy's anaesthetic. Surgery can be a little bit tough on the back, so Dr. Belinda performs some stretches halfway through. First up, we identify which part of the intestines we want to biopsy, and then exteriorizing them, keeping them separate from the other parts of the intestinal contents. Nurse Casey scrubs into surgery to assist Dr. Belinda on collecting the intestinal biopsies. Casey's role is to ensure that no intestinal contents leak out of the incision sites, whilst Dr. Belinda retrieves the biopsies. After collecting 4 intestinal biopsies at various locations along Murphy's gastrointestinal tract, it's time to close the incision. The biopsy results will take 7 to 10 days to return, and in the meantime, we will be ensuring that Murphy is comfortable and healing well. Waking up from surgery is a delicate time. Murphy is gently cared for by Nurse Brittany, snuggling in a warm blanket whilst he regains consciousness. We keep an extra close eye on Murphy during his recovery to ensure that his pain is well managed. Before going home with his family, he is fitted with an extra fashionable Elizabethan collar to ensure that he doesn't lick at his wound. Murphy returns the next day for further hospitalisation and monitoring with Nurse Brittany. Murphy was absolutely lapping up all the extra attention. He enjoyed his laser therapy with Nurse Brittany, which promotes wound healing and reduces pain. He enjoyed hanging out with her while she filled in his vitals. And he rested and recuperated with his little puppy toy friend, who who wore an Elizabethan collar in solidarity with Murphy and his funky fashion. Murphy's gum biopsies showed that he has lymphoplasmacytic stomatitis, which is a condition more commonly seen in cats. We've decided on a treatment plan involving a course of antibiotics and steroids to reduce the inflammation and pain in his gum. His intestinal biopsies showed a chronic inflammatory enteropathy, which we suspect is food responsive. So once his mouth heals, we will be completing an 8-week food allergy trial. Murphy's journey is a testament to the strength of the canine spirit and the dedication of his family. Join us in wishing Murphy a speedy recovery and a future filled with playful days and healthy smiles. Thank you for joining us for Murphy's story. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more heartwarming stories from Rouse Hill Family Vets. See you in the next vlog.